45% of companies have eliminated the bachelor degree from their job postings. 16% of all degrees and programs have a negative ROI. What is the average cost of public tuition in 2024 per year? Today, we are going to tell you, we're going to go through it's a wealth episode, full analysis of costs, cost-benefit analysis, and what my recommendations are.
With a little health and a little wealth and a lot of love, that's a life that we live, Suits and Scrubs.
Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Suits and Scrubs, where we talk about a little bit of health,
A little bit of wealth,
and a lot of love.
I don't know why we always loon in when we do that.
I don't either.
It's kind of funny.
So we have changed things up a little bit today. And why is that?
Why have we changed things up? So guys, if you're not watching us on YouTube, you're missing out. Emily dyed her hair red.
I did. This is not my natural color.
She looks like Sansa Stark. I've been asking her to dye her hair red for years because it looks better than I thought. She's looking like poison ivy over there. Well, anyway, guys, so this is season 2. We got through the pilot, so we're super excited about that. I think we're getting a lot more comfortable with the cameras, the whole podcasting. Are we podcasters now? I don't know. So if you guys have stuck with us or continuously listening to us, we are introducing 2 brand new segments. This is something that was always on the plan. These segments are permanent. So the 2 are Speak at Your Own Risk. You want to tell the folks what that is?
So Speak at Your Own Risk is a segment where the MC has to watch what they're saying. The other co-host has picked a word that the MC is not allowed to say. And if they do say that word, then they have to spin the wheel of punishment.
The wheel of punishment. And so I have it behind me, so I'm going to show you guys. We had a little arts and crafts situation here. Mm-hmm. So we'll do a better video of this, but if you guys can see that, it's actually awesome. Em did a good job on this. And so there's 7 punishments.
7.
And so we spin it, and whatever it lands on, you have to actually do that punishment. So if that happens, and some of the punishments are hilarious. Like, for example, pie in the face.
Basically ways to embarrass each other on camera.
Exactly. But there's also just like some, health shots and all that. Mm-hmm. So we'll not explain the wheel of punishment. We'll just do the wheel of punishment. So hopefully the MC says the word. So yeah, so that's one. And the other permanent one is the 30-day challenge. So if you followed us along in our pilot, we talked about our 30-day challenge at that time, which was IVF. In fact, before we jump into our next 30-day challenge, you want to tell the folks where we are with IVF?
So we had some success. We were able to get 4 viable embryos.
Which is a lot more than we thought.
Yeah, especially with some of my numbers and my age. So we're definitely excited about that.
Yeah.
And
what about the genetic testing?
We were just focusing on having healthy embryos, but I think Zach's wish came true.
We're not exposing that yet. No, you convinced me. You convinced me not to tell him that.
Okay.
Okay, but we should talk about the genetic testing.
So, I mean, the genetic testing of our embryos, they were all viable.
All viable. But there's some carriers of things that I have and you have. I didn't read the test. I just sent it to you.
Yeah, and that was just the genetic testing that we did individually. So it wasn't the testing on the embryos. It was just our genetic testing. So they give you the option of checking to see if you're a carrier of certain kind of rare conditions that can cause some really debilitating diseases in children. And so we checked my DNA and your DNA, and usually these conditions are what we call autosomal recessive. So it takes two of those mutations or to cause the disease. And so most people,
like recessive genes, right?
yeah, so most people are just carriers, but if you're both carriers, then there is a chance that the child that you have is going to have both of those, to where they actually have the condition.
Yeah, and there's none a match for either one of you, for both of us. You don't have the recessive, and I have the recessive, so there's no.
Yeah, we're both carriers for a few things, but neither one of us matched up to where we're both carriers for the same genetic mutation.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that in our next episode around how that works, and if you're recessive, I'm recessive, and we mix, like what happens.
Yeah, you can talk more about the details.
Yeah. So, all right. So the 30-day challenge. So eventually, we're going to get you to pick our 30-day challenge. Like send us information. Go to suitsandscrubspodcast.com. Ask us a question, and then throw us a challenge. What do you want to see on the wheel? What do you want to see on the 30-day challenge? We want you guys to pick what we're going to do. So we have 1 through 6, 3 health, 3 wealth, 6, whoop, whoop. And we pretty much are going to see where it lands. And then we have to do that challenge for 30 days. And so once we do this, and I don't know, Emily has the numbers. So I'm actually going to have the little chip. And if you guys can zoom on this, it's really cool. Like Emily did all this little branding and all that. So it's been a day. She's had an arts and crafts day. So I'm going to drop the chip. I have no idea what punishment. So I'm just going to go. Oh, it just fell out of my hand. All right. It's on number 4.
So let's see what number 4 is.
What do we got to do?
It looks like we are going to be taking acromantia supplements.
Oh, geez.
Which I'm all about, the gut microbiome. So.
Yes. And we actually talked about that in a previous episode, the gut microbiome, and a little bit of acromantia. So this is actually a major trend. Do you want to tell people, just in case they didn't catch that episode, like what acromantia is in like a minute or two?
Yeah, so acromantia is a type of bacteria that grows in our gut. It's supposed to be kind of a friendly bacteria that helps with a lot of bodily processes, and it's potentially able to improve your metabolic health, so insulin resistance. It also is potentially helpful with mood regulation. And then there are also some studies to show that it might actually help with response to certain treatments for other chronic conditions. So we will be guinea pigs and just kind of see how things go over the course of the next few weeks.
Yeah. Out of all the challenges, I guarantee you that's the one she wanted the most. So cool. All right. Well, back to you, Em. So we have our challenges set forth. Reach out to us on additional challenge and punishments you want to see. And then Em is going to take it away and tell you why we're here. So yeah, this is a little bit of a special episode. Anytime you see this thing in front, this thing meaning 30-day challenge, if you're not following us on YouTube, this means this is a very special episode. This is a new season for us. And we talk about the challenge that is bestowed from the Plinko gods. So, okay, Em, you want to go ahead and take us away?
Yeah, so I will, I guess, go ahead and give some additional introductions, or at least introduce my co-host if you guys are new to the game.
Just in case you're not watching us.
Yes, if you didn't see our pilot episodes. So my co-host is also my husband, and he is also a financial whiz and has managed over $1 billion to date. And he has also reached his Coast Fire number, which we always say if you haven't seen our prior episodes, you'll learn a little bit more about what that means. And fun fact about him is that he is a little bit of an old soul and likes to dress. I'd say he looks like a chimney sweep today, but
like Mary Poppins.
Like Mary Poppins.
So what a treat for you guys listening to us on podcasts. You can actually see. I feel like this is the show where, first of all, it's a recorded date night. Mm-hmm. And the second is, what is Zach wearing on his head?
Yeah, you never know. Always the suspenders, but you never know what else is going to be coming out. So without further ado, I will let him also take it away.
Yeah, sure. So that was Emily MD. She is your MC. I swear it's not rhyme time on the Wheel of Punishment, but that is one of the punishments. Emily is double board certified in internal and obesity medicine. She's exploring functional medicine as well as aesthetics. In fact, we actually have a conference at the end of this month that we're super excited that will divulge our information and in Miami. Shout out to anyone who's listening to us in Miami. Fun fact about Emily is she only wears heels for this podcast. I think I may have said that already, but I like seeing her in heels sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, is that bad? But no, she looks great. She looks great with the red hair. She's trying to put it on me tonight.
I love wearing heels when I'm sitting down.
Is that what it is?
It's the walking and dancing in heels that can be problematic for me.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay, well, back to you, Em.
So we will get into the main topic of today's episode. So we will be talking about, should you go to college? What no one is telling you. So we will start off by doing our first segment, which is called Bumfuzzle Battle.
Bumfuzzle Battle! In this segment, we define an industry term or definition.
And the other co-host will have to guess what it is.
Well, you know what it is?
What is it?
So I'm going to bend the rules on this one a little bit.
Okay.
I like to break the rules. So I'm actually going to ask you a question. I'm going to see how close. And by the way, guys, as always, we always say we do a bunch of research before the episode. So if you see us looking on the screen, we're just making sure we fall in place to make sure we have a good outline. So you all have good quality information that we are divulging. So, Emily, I have 3 questions for you. What is the average cost of public tuition in 2024 per year?
Per year.
Just tuition and fees.
Does it matter in-state, out-of-state?
Let's say...
Am I asking too many questions?
No, you're not asking too many questions. Let's say in-state.
The per year, not per semester.
Per year.
Per year. I would say on average at a state university, 20,000 a year.
Wow. Nail on the head. And you didn't even look. Okay. All right. So $20,000 a year. Okay. So if you go for 4 years, what is that?
So that's 20 times 4, which is $80,000.
Exactly. $80,000 a year for college education.
Just a standard undergraduate
Bachelor degree.
at a state
Yes.
university.
Yep. Okay. What is the average tuition, fees, boarding, books, the whole gamut?
Oh, gosh. I'm sure housing is more expensive now than it was when I went to school.
2024.
2024. So if your tuition is 20,000, I would say all in 35.
Dang. I mean, like, I should get punished over here. It's 36,000. So 36,000 times 4 is a little less than 120,000. That one's a little different. Okay. So how much does a private school cost?
I would imagine much more than that. Are you asking for the all-in or the tuition?
Let's do all in on this one.
For the all-in, I would think 50, 55.
Well, you're a little higher on that one, but there are some institutions. We're doing averages, guys. 44,000. So 44,000 times 4 is what?
160.
160 plus.
Yeah.
170, let's say. 170,000 for a 4-year degree for private school.
Just for undergraduate.
So I want to start here because I really think a lot of people should be gifted with information. So if you are a parent, and if you're an undergrad, this is information that you have to be privy to. And, we'll talk more about this in Mind and Money Matters, which is our next segment. Do you want to kick that
Yeah. So we can move on to the next. So mind and money matters. Mind and money matters. In this segment, we'll be exploring psychological aspects
of financial and health choices. I was inspired by looking at freeop.org. It did a complete, comprehensive analysis on going to college. And so what the study has shown is they did 1,000 different bachelor degrees in the United States. You know, a really fun fact is my college, I went to Winthrop University. Long story short, I was a double major. I was in music, which I'm going to talk about in just a second, and then business, which I ultimately transitioned into full-time. And so they did 1,000 bachelor degree programs, and I did see Winthrop in there as far as like what the cost was versus as you graduate, what the average salary was as well. And so, fun fact about Winthrop, the average salary, according to the study, was actually computer science, which I mean, kind of makes sense, I think. I don't know if this is a surprise to you, but engineering has one of the highest rate of return. So if you invest in money, you get $500,000 for that specific, that degree. So that is a very good return on investment. This is really shocking, guys. 16% of all degrees and programs have a negative ROI. And there's very particular fields that are associated with this. So arts and humanities are the top fields. So you're talking about your art, your music, philosophy, religion, psychology. So those are...
You're saying those are the top fields for the negative.
The negative, yes.
Return.
In fact, they say that you're in a worse situation after going to college for these degrees. And so I definitely think we should talk more about that. And so the median return on investment, even including the dropout risk, is about $129,000. So that means if you go to school, your return on investment is $129,000. And by the way, these studies look at people without college degrees, with college degrees, and it does that summation of, if you don't have a college degree versus if you do have a college degree. There's no surprise here. I think elite schools often have top ROI lists, but some Ivy League degrees have negative ROI. So you got definitely, if you want to go to the Princeton, the Harvards of the world, normally if you go there, you usually have a pedigree or you're trying to be a gunner. If you go to business school in Harvard, obviously that's probably going to be something that you will have a high ROI on. For practical choices, especially around IT and supply chain management, they offer really good ROIs. Now, there are some cultural misconceptions, regardless of field and cost, which definitely challenges the study. I think that if you look at minorities, I can't speak to this. I'm not a minority. I'm not going to even pretend that I am. I am Native American, pretty significant portion. We're actually registered with the government, but I can't claim it to the level that I would want to. But a lot of my friends, most of my friends, if you look at my groomsmen, right? And there was a groomswoman. If you look at them, a lot of them are minorities. And a lot of the cultural misconceptions around getting a good degree is prevalent, especially in Asian cultures, which includes Indian cultures. So based on that study, they want to ensure that their child is set up for success based upon these Ivy League schools and things of that nature. And so as we look at the study and you look at the psychology of college, I believe that America, in the United States, you really push that on an 18-year-old. And let's explore that a little bit.
I apologize for a minute. I'm smiling because you said the word that you were not supposed to say.
You're supposed to go, come on, do it. Oh, geez. What is the word, damn it?
Nature.
Major?
Nature.
Nature? Mm-hmm. Did I really say that?
Because I know you say things of that nature.
Oh, geez. I'm going to have to spin the wheel, guys.
Speak at your own risk.
In this segment, we created a wheel of punishment.
So don't say the word,
You don't say the word
or we'll have to spin the wheel.
and do the punishment. Wow.
So soon into the episode.
I know. All right, so it's blocking my face. I know you can't see it, but we will do better camera angles. Are y'all ready? And by the way, it makes a really cool tick sound. You ready? With 3, 2, 1. Click, 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 click.
What's it gonna be? Songbird.
No. Okay, so let's tell the people why we chose Songbird.
Could have been worse. Songbird, you have to sing a song of your choosing without any instrumental help for 30 seconds at the start of our next episode.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. The reason why we also chose Songbird is Emily and I, when we first met, actually, we really connected. I'm not saying we're good karaokeers, but we like to get drunk and sing karaoke. So, a lot of people do that. Okay, well, there you go. I've gotten the first punishment.
Well, sorry to interrupt your...
No. You're supposed to. You're supposed to. Poor Emily, she's all sweet. I probably was on my second or third sentence. Like me, I would have just interrupted, like, you did it. Anyway, so talking about, all right, so Mind and Money Matters. So guys, you're 18 years old. You graduated from college. You're a parent. You had a lot of pressure from your guidance counselors, your parents. Like, where do you want to be? At 18 years old, you don't even know who you are. I still trying to figure out who I am, right? But at 18 years old, you have no idea, And they say the average person changes careers 4 or 5 times. In fact, this is like my 3rd career, And I still got, hopefully, God willing and the creek don't rise, that I got longer time left. But I think that pushing this onto children is I think it's kind of a burden, especially with those numbers of 20,000, 40,000. I think it's very smart to do a CBA, which is cost benefit analysis. And I think that you should look at how much you're investing in college versus like how much can you invest in yourself. We live in the information age, guys. We live in the information age where all information is available to you. Go to YouTube, go to Google, go to ChatGPT, Bard. Like I've seen Bard has created very elaborate formulas for me in developing my Notion app or Excel, and it's perfect. I copy and paste, put it in there. And so there's access of information in AI and all kinds of things that really have accelerated where people are. And last thing I'll leave with you, and I know we have our guide here, but 45% of companies have eliminated the bachelor degree from their job postings.
I feel like that's become a recent thing. Everybody's been talking about it on social media, especially.
Yeah.
It's huge.
And so I won't give my answer of, what was the title of the episode?
Should you go to college?
Should you go to college?
What people are not telling you.
What no one is telling you. So today we are going to tell you. We're going to go through it's a wealth episode, full analysis of costs, cost benefit analysis, and what my recommendations are. Now, I will say this. I went to college. Emily went to college, but the rules have changed. I graduated in 2008. Yes, I'm aging myself, but whatever, get over it. But I strongly believe that the playing field has changed so much.
Things are a lot different.
They
now.
are. And we talked about this last time. The internet was created in our generation. I could imagine like anyone around like, oh my God, you didn't have the internet? No, we did not. So I think there's a lot of things have changed that level the playing field.
Yeah, online schools, online courses.
Yeah, online schools, online courses.
Free courses.
Yeah. So that ends the Mind and Money segment. So hopefully those statistics resonate with you, and especially framing the episode of how much college is now.
So let's go into our first question, or the first question I have for you. So what are some of the considerations students should keep in mind when deciding whether or not to go to college?
What do you want to do? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
I know, people in my network. I've known some people who wanted they love art, so they went to school for art, and they ascertained a $20,000-$30,000 per year, and when you're finished, you have a salary of less than 30,000, like 32,000, I think, a year as a teacher. And if you want to do art, I definitely recommend that there's better paths, better avenues. Now, this doesn't apply to folks who, kids who have money and things like that. Now, I will say this: the government did something very sexy with 529s. A lot of kids a lot of parents are saving for their college tuition through a 529 plan, which a 529 is just a college education. It's just a fancy word of saying college education. And so you can actually roll that into a retirement account now, which is honestly really advantageous. I told Emily, like, I never thought I would ever do a 529 because I don't want to push college on our children, because I don't think that's the only answer. Which I probably gave away my philosophy on this, but I want to play the devil's advocate with myself.
And the 529 is the investment that they can make to, as their children are growing up, to invest for their college education.
That's right. So you put money aside every month. You pick investments, and then I'm gonna set things of that nature, but I'm not gonna do it. With 401k, with the same thing with the Roth IRA, HSA, it's the same thing. It's just it's a fund for college expenses. And so I will say sometimes the government doesn't get it right. In fact, a lot of times. But in this example, they got it right. I'm actually very proud of them, because I don't know about you guys, but I would want to help my children succeed in the future, especially with the silent oppression going on, the way that the home values, inflation, all of that. And so if you can allow your child to get a jump start, they should do a cost benefit analysis of what they want to do. And what I'm going to say is probably going to shock you. Let's say that you do want to be an artist or a musician of all that. Don't go to school for it. Don't. Why? Unless you're going to teach.
What would you do instead?
Good question. What I would do instead is I would actually take courses from your local state school, and I would explore business courses. Because if you want to be an artist or a musician, and let's say that your craft is a musician, by the way, our jingle was created for someone who was a local artist. There's the internet out there. We had a lot of bids on our song, when we first started this whole experience. You can make a lot of money doing this. And so I recommend you should understand the way that business works, so that way you can do more of what you love. And a lot of people in my network, for example, my barber, shout out to Donnie if you're watching. His son, Jojo, is our video editor. And when I talked to Donnie, he is such a business-minded person. He didn't go to school for it, but he just learned it as he went along. And he can do more of the things that he loves because he did learn the 101. So my recommendation is should you go to college? Maybe, if you wanted to be in finance like what I did, or a doctor like what Emily has done. But I don't think you should go to college. I really don't. I think there's enough information out there that if you take that $20,000 and invest in yourself, which is part of what my 4-step process is, which is grow your skill set, put every single dollar. If you had $20,000 per year, and let's say you invest in yourself 20, 40, 60, 80, not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. I get that. But you invest all that money into yourself as an artist, as a musician, what have you. I do believe that you can get, from a financial standpoint, further. Now, there's devil advocate, there, but I don't think someone should go to, I'm gonna throw it out there, like a private school for $40,000 a year in those areas like psychology, humanities. No one cares what your degree is, honestly. Nobody cares.
Yeah, if it's a highly competitive field and you're trying to get into professional school, it's one thing. But like you said, if you're trying to go into a humanities type of psychology, and it always, like you said, it depends on what your future plans are. But what would you say some of the the misconceptions or challenges students may encounter when trying to decide about higher education?
Yeah. So I made this misconception. College is expensive. And if you change your major, it is expensive. It
I
took
think
me,
I changed mine like 3 or 4 times.
well, not everyone's like Emily. I'm sure she graduated in 4 years.
4.5.
I've graduated in 4.5. Did I not know that about you?
Maybe not.
4.5,
I
babies.
also went to 2 different universities and changed my major many, many times.
Yeah, I changed my major. And my thing is like, when I said at 18 years old, why would you take $160,000? Let's be more conservative. Why would you take an $80,000 investment in your future at 18 years old and you just don't know what you want to do? Don't do it. Don't do it. I recommend that you should shadow. You should figure out what's interests of you. And I'm a firm believer, if you are passionate about what you do, you'll never have to work a day in your life. And I don't think college is always the answer. And so one thing I didn't mention here is, with this new AI wave, it's coming, guys. It's coming. It's going to replace a lot of jobs. And guys, this is never a doomsday podcast. So if I touch on doomsday talk, I quickly move on because there's enough doomsday in the world. We want to add to it, right? But I would say for a lot of people who work with their hands, known as blue collar, which sometimes that term is offensive to people, there's a plumbers that make $100,000 a year. My brother in particular, who works on cars, paints cars. He says he doesn't work a day in his life. He plays on cars all day. He makes $150,000 a year in South Carolina. And so I think if you are passionate, it depends what drives you. If you are passionate about your craft, I think you should get a certification and go that route. A lot of people I don't think AI can replace an electrician or a plumber or a mechanic or someone who paints cars, construction, all of that. I don't think that's out there. But I do think that if you really wanted to get wealthy very, very quickly, and this is 100% true, everybody wants to be a content creator. YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, I just did a face up. Emily was laughing. Everyone wants to do that. If you ask all the kids that are graduating, that's the number one job they want to do. At that point in time, though, you haven't lived enough. You don't have an unfair advantage. I feel like Emily and I do have an unfair advantage, which, she's a doctor. I'm Coast Fire by the time I'm 40. And so if you are one of those people that I just want to get rich, I think that you should get into like working with your hands. But get that certification, know that, go to your local business school. Accounting is so important. Businesses fail in 2 areas. It's accounting, which is my middle finger, and marketing. Those are the 2 areas that businesses fail more than anything. So I do think that you go to your local school. You don't have to do that. You can go to YouTube. I'm just saying that if you do want to get that confidence, I do think that that's what you should do is go to business school and then potentially go to working with your hands. And let's say you work with your hands and you want to scale the business. Now that's the magic there. And there's everything and anything you ever would know about scaling a business on YouTube. I don't think you need to go to school for that. And I don't know about you, and I've been out of college for a while. A lot of my professors were so uninspiring. I had 1 or 2 really good professors that I was all about, but every single one of them, mostly, especially if they had PhD next to their title, and I'm not knocking you guys, but they were so academic that they'd never felt the real world. The real world experience is far more than a college education, especially in the business world. I don't think college and all of that would ever come close to that. So those are some of the misconceptions and some opportunities and paths that you can go.
Well, I think even in my field, yes, obviously you have to do a lot of academic learning, you have to do a lot of studying, you have to be in school for many, many years, but the best of the best are the ones that have the most experience and the most...
That's true. Like practical, but like for example, like when you look at studies and things like that, like how often do you look at those studies like, is it skewed? But then you look at practical information and common questions from patients, like real life on the ground, more powerful.
Yeah, when you talk about clinical medicine, maybe not the true academic research medicine, but in clinical medicine, it matters how many patients you've seen, how much experience you have. It's not how many books you've read.
Exactly. And it's crazy. And this is kind of, you can speak to it more than me, but there's a lot of other like chiropractors and like are getting in functional medicine, which is what we believe here at SusanScrubsPodcast.com. And they're actually being functional medicine practitioners. I don't think that they have the knowledge like an MD would, in my opinion. I don't think they have the things to stand on like something like you would. However, if you look at apples and oranges here, and there's other like nurses getting their functional medicine, and some of them are being very successful. I'm a nurse. I'm doing my functional medicine practicing, and I have an online business. This is why I think having a business degree is always important, because no matter what profession you have, you've got to know the fundamentals of business, 100%. But I don't know what you think about that.
I mean, I don't know what the question
I'm just saying,
was.
like other fields that are practicing functional medicine are not necessarily MD. There's chiropractors, there's nurses out there. So I was just, suggesting that other people can be very successful practicing functional medicine, but their practical knowledge combined with their certifications have made them very successful. So I would just say, like, how do you feel about that versus like an MD doing it?
I mean, I think functional medicine is just a different thought process. It's thinking about things in a different way. And I think it probably speaks to the training of like naturopaths or chiropractors, because I think they've always been kind of, I won't say necessarily against, but wanting to move away from taking too much medication and trying to do things in the most natural or holistic way. And so I think you'll just find a lot of different ways to seek care in that way. And I think the best approach is having a team of people. And so I can't really speak to chiropractors or people outside.
I think the punchline what I'm trying to make is that if you are interested in functional medicine or a certain practitioner, you don't necessarily have to be an MD to do it. However, I think you have a lot more credibility because you went to medical school, because you had the residency training, because you've been a primary care doctor for 3 years. You know how the body works better than anyone I know. So what I was just suggesting, that if you are interested in pursuing health, there's other paths that you can take that can be very lucrative. That's all I was suggesting.
So we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but it sounds to me like obviously you think that there are other pathways to success. And what are some of those other alternative options? I know you've already kind of
I touched on those.
Discussed some, but anything else that you haven't?
Yeah, so a few thoughts. I think that higher education is a tax on the youth. I really, really do believe that. And so I'm actually working with my video editors who haven't graduated high school yet. They've landed 4 or 5 clients. I think he told me $6,500 a month. I don't know about 17 years old, but if I was 17 years old, I was doing that. He found a niche in video editing and all of that, which is, I think, is the wave of the future. A lot of people are online. A lot of people are on social media, especially if you want to, make business last. And once you get out of college, you meet your love of your life, and then you have an $80,000 or $100,000 wedding. So now you're $260,000 into debt. Then you buy a house, and I don't know, you're $400,000 in debt. What's the average median house is $350,000. Then you want to buy a new car, and let's say you buy a $40,000-$50,000 car. And so you spend your entire life getting away or out of the debt. Don't do it, guys. Don't do it. Then in my opinion, you can't make choices and have financial freedom based upon that. I don't think that's the option. I don't. I think that you find a passion that you really are passionate about and make a career from it. And you can figure out, there's just so many ways. Let's say you are a cartoonist. There's this person I follow right now, has 150,000 plus followers. I guarantee you they're pulling in $40,000-$50,000 a month because they're doing our cartooning, and taking private requests. I think they did something for Coca-Cola recently, and so if you are diligent, I think that you can you can earn money in any field, anything that you want to do. I don't think college is the answer. I don't. In fact, I actually would probably discourage people from college if they don't want to be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer. They don't want to be a president of a Harvard University or some school. They don't want to be a professor at a college. I've learned so many great experiences in college. I really defined myself. I think if you look at the greats out there, like Steve Jobs didn't finish college. Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of Harvard. Larry Ellison, who's one of those big tech gurus, I believe. Oracle, I believe he's created that company. He's actually here in North Carolina, one of the richest people in North Carolina, worth billions of dollars. Didn't go to college. I think the traditional way of college is a dying trend. Or at least I think it should be a dying trend, unless you want to go higher education. So if let's say that you want to be a connoisseur, and I listened to Dave Ramsey on this, so I hate to just bring this up, but a Czechoslovakian artisan, and you go to school, you go to school for that, and you get $160,000 in debt, or let's say $80,000 in debt just for that. Granted, you don't get any grants and things like that. There are other ways. That's where you do a cost benefit analysis. If you get grants and go for free, then yeah, go do it. Go be an art major. Go do all that. I know you had a full ride. Your sister had a full ride. Go do it.
And that's the other side of things. Is there are also, I think, smart ways to go about it. If you do want to go to college, then there are, especially if you go to a state school, if you're in state, making sure that you are performing the way that you need to perform in high school to be able to get those scholarships or meet those.
That's right.
Those milestones. But I guess the flip side of that too is, we talk about this all the time about how much we enjoyed our college years.
That's right.
And it's kind of, it's a protected time where you're not necessarily thrust into the real world and have to.
It's like adulthood on training wheels.
Yeah.
It is.
And you get, if you're a college football fan,
right.
Going to football games. And
college basketball was us.
Yeah. And you and I weren't in a fraternity or a sorority.
No, I got asked to pledge by every single one, though.
But sometimes,
including the black fraternities.
But sometimes that's how you meet your, lifelong friends. You meet people in those years that will be bridesmaids in your wedding, or will be your friends for life. So I think there are other life lessons that you can learn.
Right. There's benefits to that. I do think there's benefits to that. But if you look from a completely wealth lens, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's more of a psychological. I had the best time in college. It was one of the best experiences, moving away, starting over for me. I was very socially awkward. I was a nerd. I probably could count how many friends I had on this hand. I had one friend in high school, really. I know that's sad. I know you probably wouldn't think that watching this, but I didn't have any friends. I was just awkward, socially awkward, just trying to do this thing called life that we all do, right? No, seriously. Mm-hmm. And so there are some external benefits as it relates to college. And, I think I saw something or watched a video where they said, yeah, you get $100,000 and you get a professional certificate in drinking beer. Which, let me tell you this, I was probably the college beer shotgun champ. So that is absolutely true. So yeah.
So there are some good things that can come from
I don't know if it's worth like 100,000, 160,000. And guys, it's changed since me. Like when I went to school, I think it was like 40 grand for 4 years, so 10 grand a year. Yeah, it was worth it in that. I got some state scholarships. But now the way that college has just compounded, I think they said in 1981, college was $5,000 a year. Now it's $20,000. That's 140%, I believe. Check my math. Increase. It's changed. It's changed. It has changed a lot. I think that you can find affinity groups outside of that. So if you are looking for that college experience, that's a hard one. That's a hard one because you don't want to rob someone of that college experience, because I had such fond, warm, fuzzy feelings about that. I know you did too, but you don't want to set your child up for not success. Take that money, take that $140,000, $160,000, $80,000, invest in yourself, start a business, hustle and grind in your younger years, so that way you can live life how you want to. Because as you get older, you have more responsibilities, you have children, you have families, you have all this debt that you're buried underneath, and it's not worth it.
What about those people who are kind of on the fence about going to college, or maybe going to trade school, or kind of taking one of the other paths that you discussed? Would you give them any guidance on how to make that decision?
Yeah, follow your passion. And I think that, again, I know people who have 4 years degrees, certifications, and again, my brother's making more money than they are. And he didn't go to trade school. He just learned on the job. He's a hustler. Like, we're all hustlers in the Bigby family, including me. And he found a passion, and he's just learned it. I was talking to my video editor guys. They're 17 years old. I guarantee you, by the time this year is finished, they're gonna probably be breaking in six figures. I mean, that's pretty incredible, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have to learn business, though. So as you guys are video editing this, you need to learn business inside and out, accounting, all of that, marketing. And I do think that he has an unfair advantage because his pops is a very I feel like he's like the mayor of the barber city here in Charlotte. He knows everybody, and he threw me him. I was like, I need this. He's like, I got you. He's like, yes. Very talented, by the way. So yeah, that's what I recommend, is to capitalize on those unfair advantages and the networking opportunities. Like, for example, I know your god sister, and she had a chiropractic business, and the reason why she's so successful, yes, she works hard, but there's a lot of marketing. Her dad was the principal. It's a small town, and she's very well known, and so she gets a lot of patients like that.
She's a gunner too, though. I mean,
exactly. Exactly. And the thing is, she's a chiropractor. She bought a building. Her husband does all that work. They combined, and now I guarantee you, in 10, 15 years, they're buying rental properties. They're doing it right. Mm-hmm. And that's all. I'm all about that. And again, there's a lot of people that are not interested in that lifestyle. They just want to work and go home and have a work-life balance. I think it's getting harder to do that. You have to think smarter. So I am asking everyone to think smarter and do things differently, because what has happened, capitalism and all that is really gotten to a point where it's going to get very, very difficult to live within, your means. And you have to decide. That's why I think a cost-benefit analysis is so important. Don't buy that new car. Don't buy that Mustang. Don't buy that. Mustang's the first thing that popped in my head because it's big in our family. Not knocking it, but I'm just saying, like, if that means you are a slave to your assets. I don't want my things to own me. I want me to own my things.
Well, and if you, kind of what you were alluding to, if you're going that traditional route and you're becoming an engineer, you're becoming a doctor, you're going into finance, you're not going to be working 9 to 5 and come home and be relaxed and be able to have work-life balance. I mean, these jobs, you're going to be grinding day in and day out, basically. So you've got to you have to learn how to diversify.
Exactly.
And
just like my job, I think there's some really good opportunities for me. It's hit or miss. Like last weekend I was working. It's not easy. It's not easy, and it's very, very stressful. And when things rain, they pour, and it's compounded. That's what we're going through right now. So,
God will provide.
That's right.
So, any final words to give to our youth or our parents that are trying to guide their
all in all, I don't think going to college is that route. I'm sorry I said it. I don't think it's the route that I would recommend. If we have children, or when we have children, not if, when we have children, I don't know if I would recommend college to them. It's just changed so much. when I went to college, yeah, I'd recommend everyone going to college. It really depends on your degree, your aspirations, what you want to be. And then if you do want to do those things that we talked about, that 1 in 5 degrees are not a good on ROI. And they say it's a worse investment than actually going to college, which is your philosophy, your psychology, your arts, your humanitarian stuff.
But you got to have structure too. It's not like, you have to have some guidelines in place if you don't go to college to be able to still reach your goals.
That's right. And internet was invented I remember without the internet, and there's so much information out there. You can shadow, you can do all kinds of things. And so I think people are more willing to offer those opportunities. I know I am. So people reach out to me. We have some interns that are working for us that want to understand the podcast industry. We don't know it, but we're going to figure it out. But I'm very open with those things because I had a lot of great mentors. That's one of the keys, spices of my success is finding a mentor in your industry and finding a life mentor. They have been instrumental. In fact, I've worked for some mentors. So that's also some advice I would give to people. Network and just get out there and ask, like, hey, you want to work on cars? Go to your favorite paint shop, highest reviews, and say, listen, I will work for free, starting out.
Yeah, you have to be willing to put in work with not much financial gain at first.
In fact, I'm gonna harp on this for a second. I reached out to my old, alma mater, and I was trying to find interns, and I was gobsmacked because my old department chair was like, well, everyone's getting paid internships. I'm like, what? Not that I'm saying I'm cheap because, like, first of all, we're a startup. This is costing us more money than we're bringing in, but we're passionate about the topics that we're talking about. But what was interesting about that is it's changed a lot. I had 2 internships. I did not get paid. And I wasn't expecting to get paid because I learned a lot of life lessons and valuable experience. And so that was one thing that I was really shocked about. And I think I hate to say it, but I think the younger generation, there is some sense of entitlement a little bit.
Things are so much easier. I was just thinking about today, trying to get our printer to work and typing in the Wi-Fi password. And you had to type it in like how we used to have to text, how you had to hit 3 times for the 3rd letter and 1 time. And just going down the rabbit hole of, we used to have the card catalog at the library where you didn't even have, you couldn't even search for things on the internet. And, the iPhone catalog didn't come out until I was well into college.
Same.
And so you
had a flip phone.
It's just crazy to think about. And we're not that old if you think about it, but how much things have changed since we were in college.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's a different world out there, but I think hard work still pays off.
It does.
You've got to be willing to think like no one else.
Think differently. Think like no one else.
To live like no one else.
Uh-oh. Are you quoting me?
I think I am.
I'm getting excited over here.
So, I feel like
that's all I got.
We've touched on all the questions, everything you wanted to talk about. So, next steps, next segment, next podcast.
Yeah, let's do it. What's the next? I've been seeing that.
So I will be talking about environmental toxins and how they impact your health.
So all you crunchy moms listening to us, this is for you.
So tune in to our next episode. But until then, a little health,
a little wealth,
a lot of love.
Until next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye, bees.
He's on the hustle, she's on the grind. There's no time to kill. For saving lives and new deadlines, and there's some holes to fill. With a little health and a little wealth and a lot of love. And that's a life that we live. Suits and scrubs.